The Trump train keeps on rolling, and the fascist tide is rising unabated. Now, Donald Trump's odds of winning the White House in 2024 are increasing, which is bad for America anyway. But during Tuesday's Republican primaries in Ohio and Indiana, all of Trump's endorsed candidates, which he endorsed 22 people, had all won their primaries, which is also bad. The Repug Party remains firmly under Trump's control, and the maggot cult remains intact. Trump's war chest is huge. The Republicans will, in all likelihood, win control of the House in November, which is also bad for us, and the Senate too, possibly, which is also bad. And this is not doom porn, as some naive optimists and hope peddlers might claim it is. It is the raw fucking truth. The Democrats and America's other pro-democracy forces should they need to prepare for the worst and plan accordingly. Unfortunately, it appears that the Democratic leadership have largely forgotten the six P principle word: proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. And all in all, Donald Trump remains the most dangerous person in the United States. Instead of consistently sounding the alarm, America's mainstream news media and the larger political class insist on depicting him as a buffoon, which he is, or a harmless curiosity, which he when it comes to harmless, he's not harmless. He's dangerous. In the long battle to save American democracy from the neo-fascist movement, understanding our enemy is a grave miscalculation. Now, last Sunday, Donald Trump held another one of his Klan rallies, or as some people like to call it, freak shows or cult gathering, depending on which language you prefer to use. This time he held it in Greenwood, Nebraska. He largely stuck with his greatest lie, which was lying about the results of the 2020 election, endlessly repeating that it was stolen from him, which it wasn't, and claiming that the Democrats are enemies of the country. No, that's the other way around. It's Republicans that are enemies. And with all the implied or actual threats of violence that come with such assertions, and of course Trump sucked up as much narcissistic fuel as possible from his adoring inbreds. At this point, there can be no lingering doubt about whether Donald Trump is a white supremacist. Now, indeed, those values and behavior are central to his appeal. And during his speech in Nebraska, Trump said something about using the N-word, titillating his sycophantic inbreds by alluding to the familiar racial slur used against black people. He says the N-word. I've used that word. I used the term the N-word. They went crazy. He said the N-word. I said, yeah, the nuclear word. No, that's not nuclear. You don't talk about the N-word. You just don't talk about it. It's too devastating to talk about. And Trump's a fucking idiot because nobody really understands what the fuck he's saying anyway. But during his speech, during his Klan speech, Donald Trump would also appear to forget the Senate Republican candidate J.D. Vance's name, instead referring to him as J.D. Mandel, or Josh Mandel was another Republican in that race, which Trump did not endorse because Josh Mandel did not align with Trump's view. While the mainstream American news media has largely decided to ignore these Klan rallies, Trump's mishandling of Vance's name captured that attention. That became the Schadenfreude, distraction, or shiny object of the day for the 24/7 news cycle. There was so much speculation about Trump's mental health and obvious decline. Does he have dementia? Yes. Is he senile? Yes. Will he use his health as an excuse to not run for squatter again in 2024? As it has consistently been done for at least the last 7 years, the mainstream news media refuses to understand the real power and appeal of Trump and Trumpism, which is far greater than any one person can believe. Now, throughout his squatting, and well before that, Donald Trump has repeatedly made these kinds of errors, forgetting people's names or basic facts, and frequently appearing incoherent or confused. As such, Trump's admittedly ambiguous mental health has always been the subject of political discussion for a very long time. It's important to grasp that his cult members and cult followers simply do not give a fuck. The Republican Party and the larger white right mostly does not give a shit. The right-wing disinformation machine and echo chamber do not give a fuck. Maggot is a movement and an idea. It is a power in action. As with other cult members and cult movements, Donald Trump, the human being, is secondary to the idea of Trump as a virile, masculine, immortal, all-knowing, which he's not all-knowing because he doesn't know shit, and all-powerful and basically he doesn't even come close to being a leader for the maggot faithful. At this point, if Donald Trump literally disappeared tomorrow, the maggot neo-fascist movement would continue on without him and find somebody else to lick, and find somebody else's nuts to lick. Now, instead of engaging in obsessive, infantile, and distracting discussions about Donald Trump's inability to get an acolyte's name right, the mainstream news media and the high priests of the commentariat should focus instead on Donald Trump, the political criminal. He committed multiple offenses against the American democracy, including a coup attempt, and is continuing to plot his return to office through any means fucking necessary, but including the political violence and terrorism. That, of course, is a far more difficult and troubling story than Donald Trump's all-too-human failures of speech and memory. There is another basic fact largely ignored by the news media and the chattering classes. Trump is such a narcissist that he does not care about J.D. Vance or anyone else he has endorsed or inveighed against. They are a means to an end. Now, in this particular case, ego gratification, fundraising, and Trump's project to retake the White House and consolidate the maggot movement's power over America. Now, let's talk about the laughter. On Twitter and elsewhere, Trump was endlessly mocked for apparently forgetting J.D. Vance's name. Such behavior continues a larger pattern of a defensive contempt where for many people it is easier to laugh at Donald Trump, his sycophants, and the larger fascist movement than to confront all of the harm that they have done and will do in the future. And to American democracy and society, such laughter may feel good in this particular moment, but as we found out the very next day, the hilarity turned sour and empty, like the shrill laughter of a condemned man looking up from the gallows. Now, during his Klan speech in Nebraska, Trump endorsed the Republican gubernatorial candidate Charles Herbster. The two men would seem to have a natural affinity. Herbster has been credibly accused of fondling 8 women, which admittedly makes him a journeyman compared to Trump, and Trump has been accused of sexual assault by over 20 different women. 6 women told the Nebraska Examiner that Herbster had touched them inappropriately when they were saying hello or goodbye to him, or when they were posing for a photograph by his side, while another woman said Herbster had forcibly kissed her in private. This is what Bess Levin had wrote. In a turn of events that should shock literally no one, the former squatter has not only stood by the guy, but doubled up his support of him. Political reports that after being informed of the allegations, Trump said that Herbster needed to fight back and harder, and plans for the candidate to hold a press conference, aggressively denying the allegations and pushing back at his adversaries. Herbster's campaign manager claimed that the accusations are the work of a political establishment that is smearing and trying to destroy him with lies, which they're not lies, and they were supposedly coordinated in part by the current Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts, who Herbster's campaign has suggested wants to take him down, which I doubt that. In response, Ricketts told Politico that it was ridiculous to think that somebody could coordinate 8 different people to talk to a reporter about this. But Herbster also reportedly retained the services of a law firm that Trump had used to defend himself and has filed a lawsuit against State Senator Julie Slama, who alleged Herbster put his hand up her shirt without her consent for defamation. The Herbster sang, pathetically sang Trump praises in an interview with Politico, calling him a man of his word for not ditching the Nebraskan man, even in light of the many sexual assault allegations. It's easy to be someone's friend and be around someone, but Trump doesn't have friends anyway. But in Trump's Klan speech, Trump had this to say about Herbster. Trump called him a good man, which he's not. He's been maligned. He's been badly maligned, and it's a shame. That's why I came out here. It would have been easier if I would have said I'm not going to come, but I came out. I defend people when I know they're good. You don't defend people. You just endorse rapists and criminals. Basically, he says I get nothing. I have to defend friends. Yeah, Trump, you don't have friends. I have to defend people that are good, and you're defending a rapist, so that's not a good thing. Excuse me. In keeping with the larger pattern we have already referenced, the mainstream news media declined to help the American people understand the meaning and context behind Trump's endorsement of Herbster. That failure would loom large for 24 hours later with the revelation that the Supreme Court majority, including the 3 justices appointed by Trump, are prepared to overturn the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. And now fascism is an anti-human philosophy. It channels death. It is masculine in the most crude, negative, regressive, destructive, and dangerous sense of the word. Now, it embraces, encourages, and endorses violence and views compromise, the intellect and reason as a feminine weakness. In all, fascism draws its power from the loins and the fists, the rational heart and the deep subconscious. It is primal, if not primordial. And for the fascists, care, concern, and empathy are signs. And for the fascists, the care, concern, and empathy are signs of weakness and vulnerability to be erased or denied. At the core of the authoritarian impulse, it is a need to control the bodies of women and those of other groups deemed to be inferior. Now, such bodies, people, and groups are to be disciplined and used for the pleasure and at the whims of the in-group, the powerful, the maggot, elect, and other Americans. Now, fascism thrives on oppressing others, the power to hurt or subjugate other people. What social psychologists describe as social dominance behavior. It is a principal reason why certain people are attracted to fascism and other anti-human and anti-social political movements and beliefs. Now, in the Republican, fascist, conservative, authoritarian, imaginary women are deemed to be a type of chattel and the property of men. The yearning for tradition, a return to a golden age in the traditional family, translates in a Quotidian way into women, along with the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people, like the non-whites and other marginalized groups knowing their place. In this cosmology, women's bodies are viewed as walking wombs and human pleasure robots. The basic premise of a humane and truly democratic and pluralistic society. Women should be equal to men in all political, social, and economic realms of life and society. Is an anathema to I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, to the fascist project and to many conservative and traditionalists more broadly. And to this end, political scientists and other experts have repeatedly shown that what is known as hostile sexism and a desire to return to traditional values, it plays a critical role in support for Donald Trump, the American neo-fascist, and the larger global right. One day after Trump's Klan rally in Nebraska, Politico reported that the Supreme Court has already decided to reverse Roe v. Wade, ending women's rights to reproductive freedom and bodily anatomy. In essence, the Republican-controlled Supreme Court is now willing to endorse the forced pregnancy and childbirth. Women by the hundreds of thousands, likely the millions, are likely going to see their lives changed and their futures reshaped because they will be denied access to legal and safe abortions and other reproductive health services. Now, when Roe v. Wade is overturned, Trump's Supreme Court appointees will have fulfilled their primary mission as a series of the Christian fascist movement and door kickers for American theocracy. In this one area of his life, Donald Trump, who's a profound liar, was true to his word on this. He kept his bargain with the Christian fascists, giving them right-wing judges in exchange for their votes, and that is the single biggest reason why the Christian evangelicals remain loyal to such a profane and unholy guy. Whatever they make of his personal morality, Trump is a tool of their Satanists. The historic reversal of Roe v. Wade is one more step in the neo-fascist anti-democratic revolutionary project in which the rights of women, black and brown people, gays and lesbians, immigrants, people with disabilities, and others deemed to not be real Americans to the repugs will be severely curtailed if not eliminated. The decision to take away the rights previously guaranteed by Roe v. Wade is not the end of an American nightmare, but just the opening chapter in it. Now, too many people laughed at Donald Trump, and when he was installed as squatter in 2016, and during his term as squatter in the White House, too many people continued to laugh at him as he and his Republican fascist movement began to demolish American democracy in earnest, and too many Americans continued to laugh at Trump as he plotted and carried out his coup attempt on the January 6th Klan riot, which came perilously close to succeeding. And too many people laughed at Trump for fumbling J.D. Vance's name. But does that seem funny to us now? And what good did it do us in the struggle to protect American democracy from its final collapse? Now, if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And if you want to support my work even further, you could donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of my YouTube channel. And for just as little as a few bucks for the month, your donation can help go a long way. And thanks for listening.